back to the Moxie Movement podcast. Today, I am really excited because I've got a client of mine, Ihipera Peters, who is the proud owner and operator of Kaupare Law, a mum and a partner and a business owner doing all sorts of epic things. I've been really enjoying our conversations with our real life mums who are doing this life business juggle. Today, let's go behind the scenes of what building a profitable and present business actually looks like for someone like Peter. For people that don't know who you are or don't know what you do you want to tell us who you are, where you come from, and what it is you do?
Kia ora Sarah, kia ora tātou katoa. Ko Ihipera Peters tōku ingoa, he uri tēnei no tauranga moana, no hāmua no hoki. My name is Ihipera Peters. I hail from Tauranga Moana, from a little island called Motiti Island in the Bay of Plenty. But I am currently living in the North Waikato in Te Kaupata, which is a town in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I am married to a lovely man, Kaupare Peters, who hails from Kawhia Moana, another coastal town in Aotearoa. And we have 4 beautiful tamariki, our children. Primarily I am a mama. I also run a law firm called Kaupare Law.
Who do you serve? Who do you look after? Who do you support?
So we're Māori rights lawyers, essentially. So most of our clients are Māori, but that's not exclusive. We serve individuals, whānau, hapu, iwi, and small Māori businesses. And our motto is kaupare hia te huarahi Pākehā, whaia te huarahi Māori, which loosely translated means to divert away from Western legal systems in terms of finding solutions for Māori and turning towards and drawing on our ancestral knowledge, our ancestral Māori identity and traditional pathways in terms of navigating the space within the law.
You are always doing that in 2 languages, in 2 worlds, in 2 cultures as you navigate the Māori culture, the Māori language, as well as navigating our tribunals, our land courts and all of that.
It's very much so. So all of my team are Māori, but we're also mixed heritage. I mean, I'm Samoan and Māori myself, and also have Scottish blood in me as well. And, we acknowledge all of those foundations and heritage. And within our context and our place here in Aotearoa, we're driven to ensure that Te Tiriti o Waitangi, which is one of our founding documents here, is upheld within the legal space and legal landscape of Aotearoa. So that is a key foundation and driver for us as well. And I'm actually wearing a t-shirt which says Rehe Kaupare, which is a bit of a play on the Māori word rehe ko, which is Māori for that colloquial slang word, let's go. We've switched it up and rebranded it for ourselves. So it's Rehe Kaupare. So in terms of boosting morale within our team, if somebody's needing a bit of a boost in the week or they're dealing with a really challenging or difficult file, a way of celebrating our wins, we'll say Rehe Kaupare. So, yes.
So good. You've touched on it a little bit, but tell me, why do you do what you do? What's the mission beyond sustainably make a profit? What's the big why for you and what you do?
The big why is essentially, you've talked about in different sessions and the retreats that we've had, what's the ripple effect you want to create and what's the impact? And I think for me, being in business is not about making money. While that is helpful in terms of being able to do what is important to you or be with the important people to you, I think the impact in terms of driving transformational change within the legal landscape is a big part of our why as Kaupare Law. And again, that ties back to our overriding vision, kia kaupare hia te huarahi Pākehā, kia whaia te huarahi Māori. And just drawing on our traditional concepts, ancestral knowledge to navigate the legal world but so that it also appreciates and incorporates in a way that doesn't diminish its value, but actually upholds our traditional knowledge and mātauranga Māori in legal pathways that are available to us in this day and age.
The more we have these conversations on the podcast, the underlying theme for pretty much all our women is, yeah, look, because you could have a job, you could be a lawyer for any other firm doing anything else. To making an income, yes, we need to be able to do that, and it's secondary to the impact that we're all looking to make with our businesses. I saw you the other day chatting with your eldest girl, who's 13? 12.
12 going on 18, yeah.
She's pretty close to Scarlett's age, and her fluency, her ability to communicate why the Māori language was so important to her. I was like, oh, that ripple effect there, and then the impact that she's able to have on her classmates and her friends and the next generation, I think's pretty exciting, and the shifts that you start to see with your kids as well.
Yeah, and I mean, we did that just while we were waiting in the quarter lounge for our plane. Sort of ended, one of those candid moments. The funny thing is, since I'd put that on my story, I had heaps of comments from people I know and like distant acquaintances saying, oh wow, that's such a cool video, that's inspired me to actually make more of an effort to learn Te Reo Māori. And the whole purpose of that was just to do something for Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, which is Māori Language Week, and also because it was a significant milestone in terms of being 50 years since we had our first Māori Language Day, and then it's become a week. That beautiful impact as well, and those ripple effects where people were actually saying, oh, I know, seeing your daughter speaking so confidently, and just her version of why speaking Te Reo Māori is so important and why it should be valued. Yeah, it was lovely to hear those comments, which I also shared with her. A great unexpected. You can see that it's reaching people, and if it can make a difference to one person, then hey, that's massive.
It makes me laugh because we're in Thailand at the moment, and Scarlett spent all of her younger years in the far north of Aotearoa, New Zealand, and where Māori is spoken probably more fluently than anywhere else in the country, especially a decade ago anyway. When she writes up her workouts, if we go to the workouts by ourselves, it's not skill, it's pukinga, and it's not workout of the day, it's te mahi Aotearoa. It's so funny, she doesn't even shift it into English, like that's just what she writes up every time. And I was like, oh, it's so nice to see, because I remember 40 years ago when I started school, it was at Pupi Primary, we were learning and writing and doing everything in Te Reo Māori, but by the time I got to high school, it was gone. So it had been there, and then it was absolutely disappeared. So it's really nice to see even my daughter, we have no Māori heritage at all, actually has a little bit of understanding, at least, of the culture that our whole country is founded on. I want to know, outside of your business, where do you feel most like you?
In the ocean, any natural water body, that's my happy place. And I think that's probably ingrained in me since growing up on the island, and just every school holidays to always go to the beach. We always lived near the ocean. As I've got older, I've kind of started to get the freshwater side of things as well, in the lakes and the rivers. But yeah, any natural water body, that's my happy place.
We always say we get withdrawal symptoms if we get too far away from the ocean. It's like we get out of sync if we're not there. So some quick fire questions for you. Finish these sentences. I believe.
Everything happens for a reason.
I love.
Scorched almonds.
It's the ad. You would know this ad.
That was
like the kid that was one
the Christmas.
one for
Yeah.
me. It's the end of mum and dad.
And so that was one of my
So
favourite
cute.
ads as a kid, was watching that. And to this day, I always love scorched almonds.
All right. I hate.
I'll be honest, there's not much I hate in this world, Sarah, but something that comes pretty close is doing pickups from Eden Park after an All Blacks game. Because they close all the roads, you can't get anywhere close. If I've got the kids in the car with me, I've got to entertain them until we actually get the person that we're picking up, which is their dad.
was gonna say, sounds also like Dad's going to the All Blacks games with you, which feels a bit rough too.
But yeah, it's not that act of
That's
having to pick
brilliant.
him up that I hate, just to clarify.
Yeah.
It's just that environment around
We're
Eden
in-
Park after an All Blacks game.
Yeah. Like, dude, walk further. You need to
Yeah,
like.
well, he has no option but to.
I'm a huge fan of.
Just watching the young kids speaking their reo rangatira, their reo Māori, in awe of these young kids coming through and just being so confident and embracing their language, their culture, everywhere and anywhere.
I've been seeing more and more of it. Mums film herself and shout something at a child, and then the child laughs and then corrects mums. I remember my sister looked after cousins of ours a lot, and she used to pick them up from the kura where they weren't allowed to speak any English at all. And Katie would be like, put your shoes on. And they would be like, no, Katie, you got to tell us in Māori. And Katie was like, ah. And then they would laugh at her pronunciation and correct her. She got quite good after a while, but it was really funny. I love that confidence and that playfulness with it as well, because it's very, we say that learning Thai is like once you get to the point where you can speak fun and to speak fun, to be playful with it, once you can get there, you've kind of got to that next level with the language, right? When you can be playful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also helps with remembering, when it's something that's fun or silly, you're more likely to remember it.
I want to know, I don't know that you get this very often, but when you're in the car alone, what are you listening to?
Yeah, you're right. That doesn't happen often. What am I listening to in the car? Well, I've got a Good Feels playlist on my Spotify, which is a whole collection of various genres from various times in my life, where every song that plays, it's just like, yes, this is giving me good feels, good vibes. So that's my music playlist. Otherwise, depending on what mood I'm in, if I'm in like a learning personal development type mood, then I might check on a podcast, or for a good laugh, there's different podcasts that I'll go to. Your podcasts, the Mox Movement podcasts, are always a good one for the commutes because it matches around the time it takes for me to get from home into our office in Mount Wellington. Planting Seeds podcast is one I like to listen to, and the different guests that appear on there as well. What else is there? Oh, Kōrero podcast is a good one for a laugh. It uses Redefining Success, a bit of Māori humour, and also delivered in English, and just about different topics of the day. Taringa podcast is also another one, which is great for anything te kao Māori, reo Māori, iwi, variations of rākau and like the legends, myths and legends, things like that. Those are ones that come to mind at this time.
What word or phrase sums up life and business right now for you?
Life and business?
Yeah, life and business. What word or phrase? She says with 4 children home.
I'll be honest, at the moment, the first word that pops up to mind is hectic.
It's totally okay. Because it's a journey, right? We all have hectic moments.
Yes.
And, yeah, for sure. But yes, I think that's probably a very apt description of your household. Before we started recording, Peter was like, I've told the kids to go outside and not to come back in. And I was like, well, and if they do, they do. My child is likely to open the door and go, can I go get some food? Like she's starving and she doesn't know where the fridge is. Can I get some food? Yes, go and eat something. All right, so then what is your chaos level today from Zen Queen to send help?
Midway. What's that? Zen Princess? Not quite a queen.
Zen Princess. Not a queen yet, but we're working on it. All right, we've been working together for a couple of years, maybe a little bit longer now. I was trying to remember. I should have gone and had a look how long it's been. But what was the moment that made you think, oh, I can't keep doing it the way I'm doing it. I need a shift? Because there's been some really big shifts in your journey and your business. But what was the moment that you went, there's got to be a better way than what I'm currently doing?
I think I had my youngest at that time. I think I was 22 when when we first had that initial call. So I think that turning point for me was being 4 kids deep, having become a business owner with my business partner at the time, also living further away from our whānau support, having moved out of Tāmaki Makaurau, Auckland, where our whānau was on both sides for me and my husband, and then moving more rurally and not having as regular support that we could draw on, like at the drop of the hat, and actually realizing I would probably benefit from having a coach or talking to somebody outside of my personal relationship with my husband as well.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we love that there's a whole different energy that comes from being in a world with women with wahine that are on the same journey with us, right? That is really helpful. What do you think's been the biggest belief for you that you've had to drop to get from where you were when we started to where you're at now?
So, as a recovering perfectionist, I think it was that perfectionism is a good thing. That's progress when you're absolutely over all the detail until it's perfect in your mind's eye before it can see the light of day. Still recovering from that. And
Yeah. It's, yeah.
it's a process. And I think it was just realizing that progress over perfection doesn't actually exist, and it's better to just make some progress. Just do the damn thing.
It's super fascinating to me. I have tried to say I'm a recovered perfectionist, and my husband was, I still don't think you're there yet, babe. Thank you for that humbling moment. It's so interesting to me that so many of the high performing women that I work with, regardless of the industry that they're in, because I can't imagine that you were ever given the time or the space to make a brief or file perfect before it could be finished in the lawyering game, yet it's something that still showed up so prevalently in the way that we operate our businesses. It's funny how it translates for us away from the what we do to the business leader that we are. It's almost like we can understand that it has to be progress when you're wearing your lawyer hat, and then the moment you put your business owner hat on, it shifts away from being separate to us, I think, almost, and being a reflection of us.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's partly because of the societal norms and societal conditioning that is imposed on us, especially as a woman in business.
How does that show up? Because this is one I talk about a lot, but I think it's really interesting to get other women's perspective as well, because sometimes it's really hard to see. When you're in it, it's almost impossible to see it. You need someone else to kind of go, can I just hold a mirror up and show you? How did that societal conditioning show up for you?
In business, I think, especially in the legal industry here in Aotearoa, it's always been largely male dominated in terms of those who are directors or partners in firms. Those patriarchal values and hierarchical structures are very much, if I could put it this way, the industry standard, or that you see often across the legal landscape. And so, as a woman going into that space at the directorship level of a law firm, you're going to be hit with challenges or questions or doubts from other people, reflecting all of that onto you. And it's so easy to allow doubts to encroach into your own mind space and then affect how you actually show up in your business as a leader. It also is about really determining what success means to you, because it's not the same for everybody. And so, regardless of whatever social conditioning we've been exposed to growing up, or through law school, and then as a junior lawyer, working your way up in terms of your experience level, success can be totally different to somebody who I went to law school with. It might not necessarily be to own a law firm business. And some people may not want to have children or have a family. And so success to them could look totally different to somebody else who actually has building a family in mind. For me, and because Carl and I have been together for I think 24 years since high school. And so he's been with me throughout the whole uni journey, throughout the whole working life and our business life. And so we had always planned to have kids one day. And so that was always a factor that we wanted to ensure we were able to carry with responsibility and accountability, whilst also as recovering workaholics, whilst also being able to pursue the careers that we wanted to pursue and the passions that we wanted to pursue. Success is not all about money driven, which can often be the case in professional roles like lawyers. I think it goes back to what I talked about earlier about the impact and those ripple effects that you actually want to make on the ground. It's been a key driver to what success actually looks like. And not being on the grind all the time, having good systems and processes in place to be able to step out of the business when you can without the worry of the risk of everything falling down.
It's so interesting because we all think as women that we're the only one having that experience of, let's have the networking event from 5:30 till 7:30, and we're going to do this event, this big industry conference is going to fall in the school holidays. And you're looking at it as a woman, especially once your kids get to school age, like pre that, I just used to take Scarlett, and I was really lucky to have some family support. And then we had, we paid our village for a lot of Scarlett's young years, and she would come along and I'd feed her and she'd disappear and then she would arrive back when she was ready for another feed. And so we used to do a lot of that, but that wasn't super common. I love it's become more and more common that that can happen. People feeding on micros is very normal, babies at events. Have you seen a shift in the way that the legal world works and that it's more allowed for that? Or is it still very much the events happen at inconvenient times if you're the primary parent? And I know that you're like me as well. We live in a world where we have got a partner who's a partner, so you do it together, you don't do it on your own. And still it's inconvenient, right, when we're having to tap out all the time at the busiest times of the day. When they're babies, it's called the witching hour, right? 5:30 till 7:30.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it also depends on where in the country you are as to when like the law networking events held or when they host them. But generally, yeah, it's evenings, after hours, or in recent years there I've seen a growth in lunchtime slots being offered, even if it's for like webinars, short webinars that can be held in a lunch break rather than during the workday or in the evenings. So it really depends on who's organising it.
It does. And I think in the Māori world, Te Ao Māori, it would be far more normal for all the generations to be there and be part of that. Even when you guys are going to hearings on marae, I imagine it's quite normal for there to be all sorts of ages and people
Yeah,
on
yeah,
site.
absolutely. Most, in terms of the Waitangi Tribunal space, most of the hearings are held on marae. And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to any of those hearings if it wasn't for my mum and for bosses who allowed me to bring my mum along to help with my daughter at the time, the hearing weeks and hearing days to free me up to be able to do my mahi that was required of me at the time, and then also have my baby who was often still breastfeeding at the time, sometimes under the table, just sitting in her capsule during the hearing, and also having judges in that space. And I don't know if this would, or not, when I started, probably wouldn't be tolerated in some of the senior courts, but in the Waitangi Tribunal space, it is very much an open wānanga type situation and a lot more accommodating to all the generations. And you'll often hear and see kids running around outside while we're in session and maybe getting a growling from one of the aunties to be quiet. But yes, there's definitely no outdoors like a traditional courtroom with security and all of that kind of thing.
It's something that the Western culture could 100% learn from because it allows a much greater understanding through all the generations of what's going on, and it allows everyone to be involved in the process, right? Because the Western way of doing it absolutely meant that that patriarchal structure was even more imposed on the legal practice, which is why it's really exciting to see so many more women stepping up, sitting on judging benches.
I think that's where our Western world, the Western legal world, could learn a lot from Te Ao Māori and Te Ao Māori values in terms of how we can actually better provide for and accommodate true reconciliation and restoration of people, no matter what circumstances they're in.
Couldn't agree more. What does your work day actually look like? We're talking about also, like, we're going everywhere on this because that's why I love these conversations so much, is because I think people sometimes see someone that you've got somewhere. We'll talk about where you've got to, but you've got to this place and they're like, oh shit, she's got it all figured out. Like I was just at the gym lifting weights and someone's just starting CrossFit and I've been doing it for 5 years and she's like, oh my God, you're an inspiration. I'm like, I am so not. I am like, I hate running. I hate doing burpees. I only do it because they make me. And all you're seeing is consistency of 5 years of coming up and showing up. And I think that's what we often forget on the business journey. And I say lots, I was like, please don't compare your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 742. And even if you're at the same chapter, like you were just saying, your measures of success as Peter married to Carl with your family is completely different to my measures of success as Sarah married to Johnny with Scarlett. Even though we've got lots of synergies, which is amazing, we've also got some really different things that we want to do as well. I'm not sure that you would love the concept of living location free. I think that would, traveling all over the world all the time. Is that like a thing that would light you up?
I'd like to travel, but I'd love to be based. I couldn't live anywhere else outside of maybe Samoa, but no.
You've got this very much rooted, grounded, this is my place,
Yep.
which is, I guess, a little bit how we feel about Thailand. Like Johnny and I met out here and it feels very much like coming home, our second home for us. What does a workday actually look like? Because both you and Carl own businesses. You've got 4 kids that I imagine are going in, I don't know how many different directions with their sports and their activities and their schooling. Tell me, what does a normal workday actually look like? Not like what people are posting on the gram or Pinterest. What does it actually look like for you?
I don't know if I have a normal workday, to be honest, because it can vary from one minute to the next each day of the week. In saying that, I think a normal workday would essentially look like checking in with my team, setting our priorities for the week, providing support we needed to help people get unstuck on any particular client cases. I guess first and foremost, it would be doing the drop-offs to school and whanareo during the school term, and then coming back home or into our office to get into my mahi. I wasn't doing this when we first met, but now I've incorporated actually getting outside around lunchtime to get some fresh air, get some steps in, or even just being able to enjoy a cup of tea, cup of coffee without having to rush and scull it back and then get back to the computer. Being more intentional and deliberate in terms of just stealing those moments in the day for me and to replenish my hinengaro tinana properly and mindful eating, mindful drinking and all of that, drinking non-alcoholic, of course.
Yeah.
In order to be able to get back into the mahi and then of course pick-ups in the afternoons during the school term.
How many are on the team now?
I've got seven of us. It's myself, 3 senior lawyers, 2 law clerks and 1 admin.
Works virtually.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you talk about going into your office, you have an office space that people can go into if they want to, that it's not expected.
Very much a hybrid situation in terms of our whole team. I mean, we don't all live in the same city for starters, but we've just kept that office because we had it pre-COVID days, and that's just been a good central base for us to have and to keep all the hard copy storage files that we need to keep so that it's not all at my house. Yeah, so there is a physical space. I generally go out once or twice a week with flexibility for people to work from home as they need to, and because many of us are mama with our own children, and so very much accommodating and understanding of those obligations of all our mama. And so there's definitely no need or no expectation for people to have bums on seats in the office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day, but more of a appreciation for the reality of our demands and demands of others of us outside of work.
Yeah, I love that. And you also all have to travel for work as well. So when you're attending hearings, they're happening all over the country. And obviously, because I bet you at the end of the COVID years, some of them were still happening virtually, but now there is an expectation that people are in person for all of those, or is there some more flexibility come in through that experience?
Yeah, it depends on the court and the judge, really. But the remote option of attending by Zoom or AVL is still, although for us, if we are leading witnesses or we're actually going to be presenting submissions or cross-examining other witnesses, our preference is always to be there in person rather than doing it remotely.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Okay. I want to know what's one thing, because like you've got these really full days even still now. What's one thing you used to feel really guilty about that you now know is something that you had to do to make this whole present mum, present partner, present business owner thing work?
I think taking time out for me, you always get the mum guilt when you're at work or in the business. And then when you're in the business or, spending time with the kids or the whānau, you have that guilt of, oh, I've got this long to-do list. I should be there doing that. So, yeah, I think that's the main one that I reckon applies to me in terms of, yeah, having that mum guilt, having to let go of it and actually appreciating, no, I'm serving myself and my kids, my whānau, and my clients by actually taking a moment for me. Whether it's, I haven't really been doing much exercise lately, but whether it's exercising even for like 5 minutes, or whether it's just enjoying your cup of coffee without your phone near you or without any devices and just gazing out into, environment around you. Just little moments like that, acknowledging that it doesn't have to be that extravagant. A walk outside for 5 minutes, 5, 10 minutes, or just, yeah, just resting, active resting, I guess, or even enjoying cooking. I must be honest, I haven't been cooking for a few months now because that's Carl's jam, and it's like
Yeah.
having a master chef every night, which is amazing because he's really got into his cooking and his flavors and all that. But when I was cooking, actually, again, not having to rush through it just for the sake of getting through dinner to then be able to get back onto my computer, but actually enjoying and putting love into it, when you're making a meal. But yes, things like that. Taking time for me, so important.
Yeah. A little bit
Yeah.
slower, a little bit less, a little bit more easeful. I really, and I think you're being a bit hard on yourself because I see you out there running and playing netball.
Just
Um,
started up. So for the next 10 weeks, I will be active at least once a week.
so before we started working together, how did your calendar or week feel and how does it feel now?
My calendar was always chocker. And to be honest, I didn't really run a calendar. It was kind of just a wing it. Other than fixed appointments or meetings.
Around all the fixed appointments, I'll just jam the rest of my life in around
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And what does it look like now?
Well, now it's more structured. It's colourful because I've colour coded different things. And thanks to learning the tool of the power hour, that's been a game changer for me in terms of actually dedicating an hour a week to planning out the next week and making sure that I'm prioritizing time for me, time for whānau, all the things that are important.
What was the hardest part of that shift for you?
I think the hardest part to start with was just letting go of that guilt of actually dedicating time intentionally, um, to boost my own wairua and Māori and actually putting it into my calendar and blocking out some time for that. Even, wider whānau things, hapu things outside of work and all the different hats, and my elderly parents, ensuring that I've actually blocked out time to spend with them, all of those things that I would not have even included at all in my calendar because it was just stuff that just pops up. You talk about just providing for firefighting time and interruption time, to allow for those unexpected things that always prop up.
Yeah, 100%. There's like, everyone's like, but Sarah, you don't understand the unexpected. I'm like, do they happen every week? And I'm like, yes, definitely. Like every day, I'm like, then they're not unexpected. They're like clockwork, right? And it's just that when you're so in it, that ability to step back and go, oh, actually, I do need time for mum and dad. Like for me, when Gran was with us, I know probably once every couple of weeks, my mum's going to say, hey, can you help out? And if I don't plan for time for that, it's going to cause me stress and guilt because I want to say yes, but I don't have capacity. So then I feel guilty. I should have capacity. I'm not going to have Gran forever. But if you don't have time in it, like you say, like how can I can't be present in it. I just feel I spend my whole time there feeling guilty about what I'm not doing or what I'm missing because I'm here. So, I think it's for all of us, it's those things. And we're at that age and stage now where we've got, well, you've got all the way down to, how old's your youngest now? 4?
Yeah.
Ricky's 4. And all the way up to 12. So you've got teenagers and not quite at school yet. So navigating that, oh, my parents actually need help is such a big shift and takes up so much more space and time. And I think there's lots of women like us that have got to that, late 30s, early 40s and gone, oh, hang on, there's a whole nother bracket of life here that involves a conversation that we hadn't thought about having yet. My parents are fit and well still, but having had that experience of mum caring for gran, I was like, oh, this is a conversation we need to have because, well, you've got your house, awesome, and we shouldn't assume that that's going to be a forever thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That bigger, wider family thing, if that's important to you, and generally in my world, for women, it is, you have to have time and space for it. When you started, you said you had a business partner, and don't have a business partner anymore. It's not necessarily an easy transition, and I think you did it really beautifully. When you started, you had an incredible business partner that you brought into the business with, and then she got this cool opportunity. So do you want to talk a little bit about what happened and what you had to navigate going through that, particularly in terms of your shifts and your belief in yourself? Because I think that was probably the biggest shift we saw.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I started off in the business world with a business partner, and that was awesome while it lasted. And then, I don't know, can I say her name?
Go for it. Yeah, of course. She's comfortable with that. We weren't allowed to say anything at the time because it wasn't public knowledge at the time. Yeah, so it was, but it's not a secret. She's out doing cool stuff, so we can totally big ups for what she's done.
Yeah, so my business partner at the time, Alana Thomas, she actually founded Kaupare Law. That was amazing while it lasted, working with her and driving our business forward. And then a few years into it, she got an awesome opportunity, as you said, to become a judge at the Māori-led court.
2022, the first female judge, right?
No, not the first female judge on that court, but one of the youngest.
Okay, I thought it was the first woman. Okay, one of the youngest. Yeah. Okay, cool.
The first one from her hapu, from Ngāti here in Te Tai Tokerau, to become a judge. Nice. Yeah, so she went on into that pathway, which was awesome, and she's doing amazing things. And so as a Māori-led court judge, she also sits on the Waitangi Tribunal, and she's involved in a couple of different inquiries at the moment. And so I wasn't expecting to become a sole director that quickly, I'll be honest. But as things happen, I had to adjust quickly. And thankfully, I had a good team around me at the time as well to continue that work. And so then it just became a matter of delving into your coaching and your sessions on the different aspects of running a business. But I think the biggest thing for me that helped me transition was the work around the mindset and your identity, and actually appreciating, the different identity that you show up with as a boss, as a leader, to that identity of home life as a mum, as a wife, partner, and then also in the job, in the business, as a lawyer for your clients. And so all that mindset work was, I think, a big turning point for me, and something that was crucial to me actually accepting and being open to receive all the good things that come with being able to actually stand on my own rangatiratanga as a leader in terms of the vision where I wanted to take Kaupare Law along and take my team with me. So I think with the mindset stuff, that then has a flow-on effect on the actual action that you take, the systems that you then build out, and the team morale boosting stuff that you invest in. It's definitely the mindset shifting that was crucial in terms of laying those foundations to be able to embrace that transition with love and grace, and not think, oh shit, now it's just me, what the heck do I do?
It was very much the shift I saw, and I love seeing the shift. Peter's been one of those super diligent clients, and I think you said to me at the retreat last year, you know how you said keep your strategic plans and keep your 6-week projects? I've kept them all and I got them out and I had a look at how far we've come and what we've worked on, and that progress in the strategy of the business and the execution of the business and the team and what you give to your team, it just gives me goosebumps all the time when I hear about what you're doing with your team. And I think the shift from you going, I'm not sure I can do, like, I don't think I can do this on my own, Sarah. I'm not sure I can do this too. I'm like, of course you can. Like, look at you, look at what you do. Like, you're an incredible leader. You're great at what you do. To you believing that, and then you to going on. And now I see you instilling that in all the people that work with you. You've done some super cool stuff with your team. So you've done some things like around profit sharing in your business. So we've talked about it not being about the money, and the money is nice when we get it to share it. And you also do some really epic work at the moment with the Māori-perfectionist around supporting your team, having the capacity, the space, the time, the financial well-being to be able to do these things with your team has been something that I've watched you were really clear that you wanted to do that when you started, and to see you executing on it time and time again is really exciting. Do you want to talk about the journey from what you were doing with the team when we started and where you are now, and what you're able to do, that the business is allowing you to do, and the way that you're running the business is allowing you to do it?
Yeah, so I think when I first started in business, it was very much just push the work through, focusing on the work streams, delegating tasks, getting everybody together to get the mahi done. I mean, I've been close with burnout in the past. It's showed up for my husband as well in different ways, but we've both experienced burnout. And in our profession, like many other professions, I'm sure, burnout isn't uncommon, which is sad. But I think for me, in terms of being the leader that I want to be and leading by example in that space, and I talk about the whare tapa whā in terms of implementing as part of our values te taha hinengaro, taha wairua, taha tinana, taha whānau, and that includes our kaupare whānau, in terms of actually wanting to ensure that our team has tools that they can draw on in order to actually nurture and support their overall well-being. And that, yes, there are definitely times when we've got to be doing the mahi and grinding, but we need to always ensure that we're doing something to fuel our souls and fill our cups as well in order to be able to do the mahi. And so I made a strategic decision to invest in the high water of my team. What that looked like has kind of developed over time, and it will continue to develop. But also was to, because of the remote nature of our working situation, was to actually have wānanga or retreats for our team where we actually get together in person, kanohi, to just have that whakawhanaunga time, that relationship building outside of the office, so to speak, and away from work. And so, yeah, we've had the opportunity to do a couple of those over the last couple of years. And as you mentioned, we're currently doing a program with the Māori-perfectionist, with Kristen Ross, who's doing a private delivery for kaupare in terms of her toronuku program. And so it's essentially looking at high water wellbeing from a te ao Māori perspective, and drawing on our atua wahine in particular to inform the way that we can do little things in our everyday lives and actually acknowledge the presence of those higher beings, those frameworks for us in our everyday lives, to help keep us grounded. And despite the chaos that might prop up in the legal world, that we've got some tools in our kete to be able to, again, draw on to rest and digest, to calm the nervous system and get on with the task at hand.
that growth and that development that we see even in ourselves as parents and as business owners is not that the chaos stops. It's not that life stops happening. I know you've had some challenging health stuff going on in your family. We've had some stuff go on in our family. And it's not that any of that goes away. So if you're listening to this and you're looking and going, oh, look at this, life still happens. And it's not our ability to we haven't got to a point where life stops happening. There's always more challenges and more experiences that you're having that aren't exactly what you want. It's our ability to come back to our center, to look after ourselves, all of our bodies, your emotional, your physical, your spiritual, so that you can be who you need to be for the people that matter to you. And when you're wearing multiple hats like you are and your team is, whether partners, parents, and then the wider community that they're a part of, it's super important that we can come back to that and being able to, as a business owner and a business leader, support that is such a game changer. And again, it goes back to those ripples you talked about at the start, the ripples that you're creating with your team by giving them that support, which they will then give to their families, who will then give to the people that they connect with. It never stops, right? If we can constantly have people come back to that. And it's that ability, they talk about it like resilience and grit. It's not that we don't have a bad day yesterday or we don't have, a chaotic period of like, sometimes I talk to you and I'm like, how how are you doing all of those cases? Like, do they know that you're the same human being and they're expecting you to be in 10 different places? Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation, but that's still going to happen. And your ability to show up and bounce back from that has just grown and expanded to not just yourself, but also all your teammates as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what have you seen in terms of the way they show up, the way they work now that you've evolved and grown and been able to focus more and give more in that space?
I've seen in my team their own personal growth, which has had a positive impact on their professional growth as well. And I think another thing that I've really noticed and appreciate is just the connection between us and the fact that my team are really comfortable to come with anything to discuss with me. They're actually really comfortable with talking to me about anything, whether it's work related or not, just really valuing that they feel that way. And I think the mutual respect is there in terms of appreciating the value on ensuring that they are well and that they are looking after themselves. They're not just a number to push the billable hours, but that actually I do value them as a whole person, as a whole being. That's all I can really ask for is just that mutual respect and appreciation with my team members, which I feel I do have.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I think you've done a phenomenal job of that. We don't tiptoe around money. So let's talk some cash, some choices, some freedom. What's changed about how you price, how you earn, or how you pay yourself on this journey?
When I first started in the Moxie movement, but it wasn't the Moxie movement then.
No, it wasn't. It was just me, just Sarah Green. You've seen some pretty big shifts in what I do as well.
We're both old.
It's been a journey.
At that time, I wasn't paying myself a salary. So I was taking drawings as cash flow allowed. Then I started to pay myself a salary and also take bonuses or dividends again when cash flow allowed. More recently, well, this year I've given myself another pay rise, primarily just salary based as a base salary. At the end of the financial year, we'll consider on top of that. And again, a big thing for me is ensuring that my team feel valued for the hard mahi that they do. And so sharing the profits with them has been something that I've been able to do in recent years as well. That alone has been able to fill my cup and bring me joy to be able to do that for my team and not just take it all for myself, but still be able to give back to my team who have done a tremendous job over the last couple of years with the significant pressures that we've had. So yes, I think that's been a huge shift in the business, has actually been able to pay myself a decent salary.
That's a big shift. You've more than doubled what you're paying yourself on that journey from these just sporadic drawings to consistent income coming in every week. So at the Moxie World, if you're listening to this, you've probably heard me say this before, you need to get paid a market salary for the work you do. So Peter is a senior lawyer in her law firm and runs the business. She needs to be paid a market salary for that work. And as the shareholder of her business, she's made a risk and she should get a return on her stocks. And she's invested in her business, she should be getting both. And our goal at the Moxie Movement is that both of those should be at least 6 figures. And so when you can do that, it's such a huge shift. You've gone from just taking drawings to paying yourself a good salary. But not only that, in the time that we've been working together, you've doubled the profitability of the business. Even after sharing it with her team and paying these bonuses out, she's sharing it more generously, she's paying herself more generously, and you've doubled your profit that the business actually makes. It's such a cool story that I think sometimes we get told that you can't prioritize people and profit. And I think it's so cool that you've been able to do more in all these ways for your team. If the business is still more profitable for having done all of that, which is really exciting. I don't think we have to say anymore that you have to choose between those things, that you can very much do them if you're doing it in a really structured way that supports you and your people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you ever feel like you have to choose between making money and being a good mum?
Not anymore.
You did when we started.
I did when I started, yes, absolutely. As I said, that mum guilt was strong.
Yeah.
Caveat, I've still got work to do to get to my ultimate vision. But I can confidently say that today in September 2025, I don't feel I have to choose between being a good mum and making money with my business. I can do both.
You do both with beautiful presence. It's not even a rushed version of that. It's a beautiful, I'm present here, I'm present there. I'm not saying that Peter is perfect in any way, shape, or form in any of these things. We're still normal parents and we're still normal business owners. We stuff up, make mistakes. It feels it's more easeful and it's more present than it ever was before. And so I want to go deep for a little bit. So, because this is about, what's it all for and who's watching you do it. What's something that you wish more mums in business would say out loud? What's the thing that we need to hear?
It's so much. Being part of the Moxie movement, there's always been gems that I've taken away from different sessions or retreats that I wish I had known or heard a whole lot sooner. And so
I do think there's an element, though, of we might not have heard them. Like, we hear them at the right time. I always look at Scarlett and I think, man, the stuff she knows at 13, I wish I'd known that. But I don't know that I would have been open to hearing it. And there's plenty that she's not open to hearing at age 13 either.
Yeah, and you can be told something like 10 times by 10 different people, but it'll only land once, from a certain person. I tell my husband stuff all the time, but he doesn't hear it until somebody else says it.
That's why Johnny has a coach that's not me, because you've met Clay. Clay had this really good idea. I'm like, biting my tongue. Got ulcers from biting my tongue. Pretty sure your wife said that.
I think advice to mums in business: success is whatever you want it to look like. Don't worry about or don't buy into what everybody else thinks it should be. Make your why bigger than your why bother. An awesome mantra to have, especially on those tough days where you don't want to get up and do what you're meant to do, but actually coming back to your why and your purpose, and having a really good wānanga, inward look, inward reflection on what it is you actually want to create. What are the ripple effects that you want to see go out into the world? To really understand your fundamental why, so that on those tough days when you don't want to be bothered, you've got something to remind you, oh, actually, there is a greater purpose here beyond myself, and it's worth doing the do for. I think that's my advice. Or a couple of gems that come to mind for me at this time, which have held me in good stead or helped me reframe any self-doubt or imposter syndrome that still props up, but actually coming back to, making my why bigger than my why bother. Success for me looks different to what other people think it should be. Yeah, I think the other piece of advice I'd give to any mums in business or mums to be who are looking to be in business is to get a coach or two and build a community of wahine, of other women who you can lean on during the tough times, but also you can lean on to celebrate the wins. As you might recall, Sarah, I was terrible at the beginning to celebrate any wins, no matter how small. I'd just deflect and move on to the next thing or think, oh no, that's not worth celebrating, but actually acknowledge and celebrate all the wins, whether it's in work, in business, or in life in general. So important. So I think that, yeah, the building the community is a huge one.
If your past self saw you now, what would she be shocked by?
She'd probably just be shocked by the fact that I just continue to smile despite all the shit that happens. and that I, but I think that just being able to get to where I am alongside my husband and my whānau, and yeah, I'm thinking of, just dust yourself off and try again when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would just be,
Time.
you've made it nowhere near perfect, and that's okay. But you've made
Yeah.
some wicked progress.
What's your biggest, I can't believe this is my life now moment for you? Might be hard to pick.
I think it's breaking down those chains of those societal norms that women don't often feature in the directorships or the senior levels of business, and actually, breaking those ceilings and stereotypes to be able to run a profitable business as well as being a present mama, present wife, and present in my communities, whether it's my hapu or my local community or friendships, other relationships. Yeah, you can do both, totally do both. I was thinking actually about, you mentioned village earlier in our talk, and I immediately thought of, that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I'm a firm believer of that because you can't do it on your own. In terms of the business side of things, while it does take a village to raise a child, I think it takes a sisterhood to grow a business. And having those communities of women who can support you in good times and in bad times is so crucial to be able to continue in this thing we call life and business.
Yeah, I love that. It's definitely something I missed in my early days in business because we talk so much more freely about this. We started in business 20 years ago. People didn't talk about it. You certainly weren't sharing what you were doing on the internet. Like, the internet was really just getting started back then. I think I look back, there were very few women that you could look up to and go, oh, there she is, maintaining an intimate relationship, maintaining a family, and running a business. It was really hard to find. They existed for sure, it just wasn't easy to find them. And I love that piece now, is that it is easier for us to find those communities and be part of it, of women all doing the same thing, because it is a different experience. To be a parent and a partner and a business owner is a completely different experience from when I started out at 24 with none of those. Well, I had a partner, he was my boyfriend back then. There's just a whole lot more going on once you get into this journey. What's your secret weapon that, if you could give it to other mums, like right now, what would it be?
The first thing that comes to mind is choosing your life partner is one of the most important decisions you can make.
Yeah, say it louder for the people in the back. My biggest life hack is my freaking partner.
Honestly, it's like a make or
Yeah.
break. They could either be on the waka with you and you're paddling to the same destination, to the same island, or they're not and they're dragging you and holding you back and acting like an anchor that you don't want. I've been very fortunate myself in terms of choosing my partner from high school age. We didn't go to the same high school, but we were high school age when we first met, and we've stuck together ever since. That's been a huge blessing. We've had open communication with each other about everything, and we're able to align our values and our vision for our whānau. Our retreat a couple of years ago when Carl came along with me and we did that
Yeah.
exercise with Bianca around the cacao ceremony, and we had to come up with a word, just one word, to wrap up intentions for the year. Two words came to mind for me. I was trying to decide which word to choose because I could only choose one. And then Carl was in front of me. So then he said his word, and his word was whānau. And so I said the second word. I was thinking thriving whānau. It was a beautiful moment in terms of having that alignment with my husband, in terms of our thoughts being in the same space.
I actually remember that moment where you talked about that at the retreat, and it was one of those special moments where you go, so aligned in what you guys are doing together. This is part of this. What do you hope your kids remember about this season of your life?
I hope they remember that Emma was hardworking. She looked after herself and her team, and also made time for us to create beautiful memories together to cherish for the rest of our lives. I also hope that they appreciate the tools that I've been trying to instill in them so that they've also got, they're full of resources to be able to pick, okay, this is a crappy time that I'm going through in life. Maybe I need to draw on something that Mama told me about many years ago to self regulate or to come back into the present moment, or it's okay to take some time out for me, even though I might have a hectic work schedule or running a 6-figure business themselves at that stage.
Love that. For the mums listening who might be feeling stuck and tired and stretched a bit thin by this whole parenting, partnership, business ownership journey, what would you whisper in her ear if you could?
Say, you've got this, believe in yourself. Go get that coach, go talk to some friends, go build a community of wahine. You're not alone. There's others who have been through the same situation or something similar. So don't try and reinvent the wheel and find a magical cure yourself. Surround yourself with good people, your tribe with a vibe, your hype team to pull you out of this dark moment and get you back on track. And it starts with you. All you need is within you. It's just helpful to have others around you to help you draw that out and realize your full potential.
And what's the one thing she could do this week to get closer to where you are now?
One thing she could do this week is to invest in the power hour, making that ideal week a reality.
Because your time's your only resource you're never getting back. And it's the one thing that every one of us as mums doesn't have enough of. And so making that work for you has been a game changer. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. And Guy, you've just done so many incredible things, and I can't wait to see what's next. I'm really looking forward to catching up and Russell giving you a big hug and hearing about all the amazing things that you've been doing. This conversation is going to stick with so many women that are listening. If listeners want to connect with you and are like, oh, actually, Peter's, the sort of woman I want to work for, or Peter's the sort of person I need help with on this tricky legal thing I've got going on, how is the best way to connect with you?
It's probably by email, to be honest. I do have an Instagram, but it's a personal one, and
Yeah.
We haven't gone into the social media profiles just yet.
Yeah, and needed to. You've got work coming out.
Yeah, I have no time to do that just yet. Otherwise, we've got our website, which is kauparelaw.co.nz.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Till next time, everyone, stay moxie.